Hello, my name is Charles and welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be on object-oriented programming. So there are a couple what are called high-level languages. And if you imagine a high-level language is pretty much a language that is closest to English. So like high-level languages like Python and Java are very close to as if you're reading. They're easier to understand. They're farther away from the machine in a certain way. What these high-level languages allow you to do in object-oriented programming is you can build things modularly. So if you imagine back in the day, the code, or at least with programs like C++, for example, it's what's called procedural. So from list to list to list to action to action, from list to list to list, action to action to action, to step by step by step, it just runs through the whole program. An object-oriented program, it allows you to build functions and like building blocks that you can put anywhere you want to make something happen. So there's an advantage in building modularly, like building a function that always calculates the average. You can use that wherever you want in the program to call the average. And so this is some of the advantages, and I'm going to teach you the basics in today's video for how to code of object-oriented programming and classes in Java. So without further ado, let's begin. So now let me make my face a little smaller. I'm not the most important thing in the world. And so, okay, right here, they're in classes, you always have to title them as the same as the file name. So the file name is rectangle.java, and this is public class rectangle. So there are things called instance variables. Now, instance variables are variables such as, length and width. Our instance variables are basically, more generally, of the object, they're basically the variables that what you want to store with this object. Now, a constructor allows you to build an object. So if this is the rectangle class, we're going to build rectangles. And so what that looks like is we're going to do public rectangle, all right? And we want to do we want integer length and we want integer width. So those are the two things we're going to store. For every rectangle, there's a length and a width. And we're going to use the keyword this.length equals length and this.width equals width. Now, what does this whole, this dot, something mean? Like, why are we doing this? Literally, like, why are we putting this dot length or this dot width? This keyword in Java tracks that particular instance or that particular object's width and length, and so it's very helpful. For example, it's not just any width, but it's this object's width is now equal to width, like what they put in. And so every class, or most classes, are going to have a constructor. If you don't create a constructor, it'll have a default one, but it's pretty useless. It doesn't fill in any info. But these allow you to create objects. So now in this, we're literally able to create the data type rectangle. That's what this allows us to do. And so now we need to create accessors / mutators or instance methods. So these are, calling on the object. We want to, for example, we want to be able to get the length or get the width. So if we want to be able to get the width, we'll do public int get width. And if we were going to do that, we do return this dot width. And that allows us to get the width. If we want to get the length, we'd want to do the same thing. So return this dot length. And so for each particular object, we can get the width and we can get the length of it. And that's quite helpful. Then we'd want to be able to set it. Let's say you want to set this, you know, set the width. And so we're going to need to take in width. And this is just doing like what that constructor is doing, is width, this dot width equals width. So now we're able to set the width to whatever we want. And we want to do the same for the height, length, set length, int length. And this allows us to do, this allows you to set the length of that of whatever rectangle you create to whatever you want. Now we might want to have, we're going to add two other functions here, and we're going to have a print info where it prints all the info that we want out of this rectangle, and then print the dimensions. So what we're going to do is we're going to do public void print. I remember camel casing, print info. And what this is gonna, or we'll say print area. So we're gonna have it print the area. And so what would the area be? The area would be system.out.println. The area is gonna be the length times the width for any rectangle. So we do this dot length times this dot width. And we'll say the area is, and there we go. That's going to print the area. And we'll also, for a rectangle, might as well, you know, print the perimeter. So we'll have a print perimeter function. And this is going to be super helpful as you go within your programming career for just creating all sorts of things. I mean, with this, right, with this being able to create a class that has objects, you could, let's say, create the code for like, you know, a simple bank, right? You could have public class bank, and then you could say, you know, of all the bank accounts, you know, you can create with the constructor bank accounts, and you'd have like, let's say this dot account balance, this dot name of holder of the account, and you'd be able to make things that are useful and applicable for people out in the real world. And that's why I think object-oriented programming, and even just hopefully learning what you can from these videos and others, will allow you to just do awesome stuff. So if we want to print the perimeter, we do system.out.println. As we know, the perimeter is, and perimeter is, right, addition. So we're going to do 2 times this dot length plus 2 times this dot width. And that is going to give us the perimeter. So now if we come back here, so now we got a new rectangle. Let's make it 10 and 20. And let's say we did box1 dot print area, box1 dot print perimeter. Look at that. Now, if we run this, we should be able to see the, well, look at that, boom, the perimeter, the area is 200 and the perimeter is 2040. Isn't that awesome? We have a way of printing the perimeter. We have a way of printing the area. Even if we wanted to use, let's say, if you want to know how to use, let's say, the accessor methods or getter methods, what you're going to do is you're going to say box1. So if you want to, let's say, see what it is, system.out.println, and you'll say the width is box1.get length, and that will get you the length. So let's say we run it now. The width is 10. Look at that. And we put 10 right here. So now we can easily, so now for any rectangle we create, we can look at the area, we can look at the perimeter, but we can also get the individual characteristics of it. The way this helps is, I'll show you soon in a project for, let's say, making a bank account, and this will be a project we can all do together, how you can take things from object-oriented programming, like using these classes and accessors, so that methods and all these new terms to create real-world applications that can be used for financial institutions or for anyone else. So the key terms to take away with today is, in every class there are what are called instance variables. So these are the variables that we want to track for the objects. So every object or every rectangle, right? For, in this case, width and length. For every, rectangle object we create, there's going to be width and length. Then there are things called constructors. This allows us as programmers to create our own data type or object. So in this case, rectangles. But you can do bank accounts, you can make, let's say profiles in video games. That's what constructors are so good at. And then last is what are called instance methods. And these act on the objects. So these act on the objects we create. And these can be, for example, getting the length or width in this case. Or if it's, in a bank account class and program, it could be getting the balance or getting the user's XP level in a video game. So you get a lot of, amazing things. And when it comes to object-oriented programming, a lot of versatility. And I'm going to go more in depth in this. This is just episode 4, the basics for object-oriented programming. Instance variables, constructors, and instance methods. I try to keep it simple and straightforward, easy to follow along. If you do have any questions, please let me know and I'd be happy to answer them in the description below. My name is Charles, and much love to you all. God bless.